Hey Karla, I'm thinking of hiring a virtual assistant, but I just don't know how they can help me grow my business instead of just doing these everyday tedious tasks. Well, today is one of your lucky days if that is a thought that you've been having for a long time now. So I'm Karla of Proximity Outsourcing, and I have over 10 years of experience hiring virtual assistants, managers, and creative teams for a lot of high growth online businesses. In this video, I will share with you some tasks that you can assign to your virtual assistant, maybe train them to be more specialized so that they can actually bring in revenue, as in bring in money to your business, and they're not just doing these everyday tedious tasks. There are 6 options here and 6 things that you can explore or maybe start training your virtual assistant with, or honestly, you can just outright hire for these specific tasks so that you can secure some revenue for your business. So number 1 is DM setting, or direct messaging appointment setting. So on social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, even on X or Twitter, you have a direct messaging option. And it is also a direct messaging platform, as well as a photo album or a video album, and basically your whole dashboard of social media things. So these social media platforms are also designed to connect you to other people, and that's what these platforms want. They want you to stay on their platform and spend as much time as possible, because that's how they make money. When you spend so much time in their platforms, and then maybe you'll view their ads and maybe buy from one of these ads. So if you hire a virtual assistant or a lead generation specialist that just DMs people or sends a DM or direct message to people maybe after you posted something, or if they liked your post, if they were interested in something that you talked about, or a comment. So if you can smartly plan how you can send personalized instant messages and really getting to know some of your followers, some of these people that are interacting with your brand, in the intention of getting them to book a call, or maybe buying some of your lower ticket programs, or maybe even just to build connection and to continue growing your following and to deepen that relationship. IG, LinkedIn, or Facebook or X, in all of these platforms, you can just do these DMs and try to set some appointments, try to interact with your followers. And I can guarantee, if you have this relationship going, if you always have a warm way to reach out to these people that's not cringy and not super salesy, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there to close a lot of business and book a lot of sales. So number 2 idea is ad moderation and engagement. So earlier I suggested something about sending direct messages or DMs, and now this is something that happens outside of the inbox of your social media platforms. So when you run ads, it's typical for some ads to have people commenting on it. Now, if you have someone that actually moderates these comments and replies to the people that are interested or that would raise their hand and tell you that they're interested in whatever you're advertising, you can assign someone to reach out to these people and maybe get them to buy something, book a call, or sign up for your newsletter. Whatever is the next step for you getting them ascended into your funnel. So the other thing that would be beneficial in terms of moderating some posts is engagement. So even if it's not an ad, every time you post something, whether it's a video, a photo, or even just a text status, or even a story, if someone interacts with it, it would be good if you could also reply to that. So whether it's in the public wall, like a comment, or whether it's something private, like a story, the important thing is you're always engaging with your followers, because that also affects the algorithm positively in your favor. So the more that you do that, the more you have these interactions, the more that the social media platforms reward you with more traffic, because now they're seeing, oh, you know what? This account is really making an effort to connect with the people that they are connected with, or the people that are following them. So idea number 3, and this is something that would be a closer match to a virtual assistant, or maybe a lead generation specialist that's used to doing a lot of phone tasks. So this is for someone to do on the phone, and that is cold calling. So Cold calling has been around forever and ever, and I know that a lot of people have resistance doing cold calling. But let me tell you, this is still very effective in certain industries. In fact, I know personally another business owner in my industry, which genuinely I cannot imagine doing cold calling for outsourcing, but she's having a lot of success in cold calling, and it's basically the only thing she does. So I'm pretty impressed by it, and I would say there's definitely a way to do this right. So if you assign a virtual assistant to maybe gather some information and maybe run some outbound campaigns for cold calling, very targeted campaigns, you guys can use some of these platforms where you can get people's email addresses and then numbers, and then now you can hit them through email and of course a phone call as well. So I would say this would be more of an outbound campaign specialist, maybe instead of a virtual assistant. That might be a better name for the role because they can both do email and calling. And if you want to make this deal even better, have them do text as well, because the open rate on text messages or SMS messages is very, very high. It's very likely that someone who's not answering your call will still open your text instead of maybe opening their email or just picking up the phone, right? The other thing is if someone is really comfortable with being on the phone and doing outbound calls, if you did run ads and if you do have people interested, maybe even in your organic posts on social media, if certain people would raise their hand and say they're interested in getting to know your offers, you can still find these people's information and set up a call with them. So you can maybe communicate with them through DM and that, hey, someone from our team will call you, and then you can assign another outbound lead generation specialist to actually do the call, set an appointment, or give them a quote, or maybe sell them something that was low ticket. So depending on what the next step is in your funnel or whatever you're offering. So task number 4 is inbound lead generation. So earlier, I talked about outbound lead generation. Now this is all about inbound, or receiving and properly directing where these leads go. So whether you're running ads or paid traffic or you're doing this organically, if you're advertising some intake forms and if you need to qualify these people, you can assign an inbound lead generation specialist or maybe a really, really talented VA who's also honestly trained at client success or customer success. That is something that I would also recommend. They could do these intake calls, take all of these inbound calls, do some pre-qualification, and maybe warm them up once again for the next step in your funnel. So those are 4 tasks already. I hope that you're not overwhelmed. We still have 2 more. Number 5 is cold email. And this is very, very special, or like a particular channel, because it comes with a lot of research. So the person that you should be assigning for this task needs to be able to do really meaningful and intentional research in terms of looking for similar profiles that are a good match to your ICP or ideal client profile. So for example, if you are a business that serves maybe seniors in a particular area for a certain service, maybe this is a private airport service or a private airport transportation service, for example, for seniors. So that's pretty niche. So if that is your market and that is your business, then you can properly plan for who to target and have these conversations with. So a really talented cold email specialist would look for certain names, certain profiles of certain locations, maybe some information about maybe where they worked or who they're related to. So it needs to be really intentional and really meaningful in building this list, because every outbound effort, every email really matters. So gone are the days when you can just send 100,000 emails, on a mass scale and just expecting for someone to write back. Right now, especially with the rising use of AI, people are craving and honestly respecting businesses that have a lot of human touch in terms of how they deal with their public, how they deal with their customers, how they deal with your prospects. There could be an opportunity for you out there. However, I know that this task is pretty time consuming, and it might be better for you to just outsource that to a company like ProximityOutsourcing.com. So #shameless plug. And lastly, I would also recommend, not a lot of people actually think about this, but CRM cleanup, and pipeline tracking. So basically, when I say CRM, customer relationship management platform, this is a platform where you deal with all of your leads, prospects, and you kind of track where they are in terms of how far they are from buying your product. So sometimes they could also be actually already clients buying some of your products, buying some of your services. So this is one platform where you can see all of these profiles and you can set up some automations and set up some conversations with them. So I would say not a lot of people think about this because they typically expect that the salesperson would do all of this. But if you are the kind of business where you have an outside closer or a closer that works on commission and you just have a lot of leads, it might be good to have a virtual assistant specifically for sales, specifically to assist the closer so that the sales closer can just focus on showing up for these calls, especially if there's a high volume of calls. So I personally have been a salesperson for a very long time. I've done hundreds and hundreds of sales calls, and I definitely remember how much energy I would need to just show up on a call, do the research on a client. And I admit there were times that I was always thinking, how easy would my job be if I just had my own kind of virtual assistant, my own assistant? But if I was gonna go back and I was a solopreneur or an entrepreneur that's fast growing or a consultant and I'm just basically working alone, I would be focused on growing my business on these cash producing tasks. And I would 100% appreciate if there was someone that was just assisting me in handling these leads, because also we all know that a lot of leads don't actually say no when you talk to them. They don't actually say no the next day or even the next week. Sometimes they just need to be followed up and nurtured and warmed up. And someone who is forward thinking and someone who's doing very meaningful check-ins instead of just, a regular templated check-in, that I think that is a very, very valuable in your company, especially if you're offering something that is over $2,000. So that's just my personal opinion. If I was giving you advice as maybe your sales coach or your revenue optimization specialist, I would say that this is one of the most underrated jobs or roles out there that you can actually hire and outsource in countries like the Philippines and Latin America, and will not even cost you more than $15 an hour. So there's a lot of opportunity for you there. Okay, so let's review the 6 roles. Number 1 is a DM setter, direct messaging setter. Number 2 is an ad moderator or an engagement moderator. Number 3, a cold calling or lead generation specialist that does only outbound. Number 4 is an inbound lead generation specialist / intake virtual assistant or a lead qualifying virtual assistant. Number 5 is a cold email campaign virtual assistant or a cold email specialist that also does a lot of research. And lastly, number 6 is basically a sales VA or a sales virtual assistant that will help you with your CRM cleanup and pipeline tracking. So those are the 6 roles that you can explore. Think about your business. Think about where your revenue is coming from. Think about what could be an opportunity that can bring you more money than what you spend. And if you talk to a company like us, like a Proximity Outsourcing, we take care of everything from recruitment, onboarding to management. We'll even provide additional upskilling and development plans. And our plans start at $695 a month. So honestly, it pays for itself if you just know what they should be doing and what channels they should have and they should take care of. And I can 100% guarantee that this is way, way better than doing it all by yourself.